All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. All right, we literally all just rolled into this show live just as it was ready to go live, so we barely had a chance even to say hello to each other. So I'm your host, of course, Julian Gill on the KissFAQ podcast. I'm joined today by Marcus Almighty. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. How are you?
Daniel, Wee's on the board. Good evening.
Good evening.
And 69th Blizzard, Ken.
Good morning.
Also, good morning. And it's lunchtime for Lonnie, I guess. So, hey, Lonnie, how you doing?
Yeah, my internet's a delight this morning.
Okay, so stop Netflixing and
Okay, go yell at somebody downstairs.
No, don't do that. You're not going to win that. So we've got a minimum 12 song battle. Well, actually, it is a maximum 12 song battle today for death match number 10, and this is, of course, the final album matchup between albums, and we were left with Hot in the Shade and Carnival of Souls, which is a really interesting matchup because neither of them get a ton of love from the Kiss Army. And welcome to everyone who's joining us live. Michael, AB, Sylvie, good to see you, and anyone else who is tuning in at this hour. David Donnelly, trusty viewer.
Hello.
See you, David. So, excuse me. So these albums, on a given day, often get a lot of derision. Yet for both of them, I have happy memories because I was living in Singapore for Hot in the Shade. And in terms of my entry point as a fan, it was a massive improvement sonically, even built on demos, to Crazy Nights, which was over-polished. I thought it was a little bit more blues-based rock, also with some cheese, factor mixed in. But 15 songs at the time, it was impossible to
Almost getting yelled at, I think.
I think he's saying my internet connection.
Turn Netflix off.
So getting back to my point was, 15 songs was a really cool gift to be receiving at that point, though now we know that just because there are 80 minutes available on a CD, you don't have to put 80 minutes of music on, right, Mark? And Carnival of Souls, very much a similar thing. 12 songs leaked first as a bootleg, and then it was finally properly released. So what are your guys' memories? I'll go to Lonnie last while he hopefully sorts out his internet connection. But Ken, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, Hot in the Shade, let's see. I wasn't living in Singapore. I was in California, and I'm still in California. It was, every new album for Kiss at the time was, just a blessing, I guess getting new music. It was kind of underproduced kind of album, and but it had some good songs on there. Still had some good songs on, and like you said, there's some cheese and stuff like that. And then later on, the Carnival of Souls, that was nice to at least finally get this canned album that they weren't going to put out, and it finally did come out. And that was kind of exciting. I remember going to the record store and getting that on the day it came out. They were actually playing it in the store. When I walked in, I was so surprised that they were doing that. But yeah, it's always good, and it's good times. I don't have any bad memories around these albums at all.
Yeah, Carnival of Souls, that was actually, I did PR for that, just early days of the desolate landscape of the Wild West of the web. So nothing spectacular. Let's not be overly impressed by me saying that. But, I gave out CDs, sets of remasters, and posters, which I regret not saving one for myself at the time. Mark, what about you? Obviously, Canada.
Yeah.
What was your entry point for both of these and how they kind of held up for you?
Actually, it's funny because when Hot in the Shade came out, I remember I was introduced to it because on Much Music they were playing Hide Your Heart on Much Music. And I was like, oh, and I thought it was a pretty good song. So I thought, it was a optimistic start to things. Then me and my friend got the album And I remember we both kind of looked at each other by the time we got to like song 12, which I don't remember what song 12 is. So let me just refer to my notes here. I think song 12.
Look at your CD you had out there.
Yeah. You Love to Hate Me. By the time we got to that, we were already kind of like, this album isn't over yet. Like, we were like, fuck, this is too long, man. And there wasn't too many good songs on there. Like, Read My Body, we were already kind of rolling our eyes and stuff like that. So it's a record that could have been better if it was shorter, And other than that, I agree with you that it was better in the sense that it was more blues based and not such a overly polished album as Crazy Nights. The funny thing is Carnival of Souls. I actually had better memories of that because my friend Ted, he had an illegal copy of it from a while back when it leaked. And we remember we were listening to it and we were like, wow, this is actually pretty good. Because we were so loving the Revenge stuff that we thought this was a little bit of a continuation. We did kind of clue into the kind of grunginess of it. We were like, it's a little bit, kind of a little bit of a sellout being so grungy, but it was still heavy. So we were digging it still. So, but it ended up being one of those records where I think after side A, if you could look at it that way, like the first couple of songs, it starts going downhill. Like once it gets past like, Jungle and stuff like that, or start sort of like, it's not getting as good anymore. It's starting to get weaker as the album went on. And that's my opinion.
Yep. So, Daniel, what about you for up north?
Yeah, Hard in the Shade really was totally under the radar over here. They went through Europe on the Crazy Nights tour. It wasn't really successful, and Crazy Nights was kind of successful in England, but not over here. And Hotter in the Shade did nothing over here. So I guess
nothing anywhere.
Nah, that's probably true. However, Forever did something in the States at least, but
it was a paper hit. Don't forget that. Don't trigger Sphinxy.
No, that's true. But so I remember noticing that it was released in that Swedish magazine Kiss. No, not Kiss. OK. OK, the pretty famous music magazine that was huge over here in Sweden. So I read an article about the album. I didn't even know it had been released. So and then I got a hold of it, and I never really liked it. There were a few songs, but as a whole, it didn't do anything for me. So I kind of strayed away from Kiss for a few years there before Revenge. And then when Carnival of Souls was released, I had my hopes up real high because I kind of liked the sound of Revenge. But as you guys, I got a hold of a bootleg of the record before I got the official one and listened to that one, and really didn't. I was a bit disappointed. I remember being kind of hyped up when I saw that Kiss My Ass video when he showed the cover of the head, the initial cover, and I was really anticipating the album. Yeah. With the super head and a fire, everything. Mm-hmm. And then when it came out, it was kind of, okay, a picture of the band. But I guess they just, a picture of the band in the studio looking,
it
kind
was
of
a throwaway. Sad. Just a throwaway.
Yeah, it was just a throwaway. Yeah.
But they still service Jungle.
Yeah, I do appreciate the playing on the album. I think it's a well thought out album, and it was kind of, I don't know how you say it, streamlined. It felt like they had a purpose. They had an idea, and it works as a whole. On the contrary, when it comes to Hard in the Shade, it's like a mishmash of everything. So if I would pick one of the albums, I would surely pick Carnival of Souls.
Interesting. And, I was trying to interrupt you with the service Jungle as an edit to radio, which did very well on the it didn't cross over onto the, the popular charts, but it did very well within its demographic. Wow. And Master and Slave also did very well also.
Yeah. So I remember reading that.
Yep. So Lonnie's working on his connection. Hopefully he'll be able to pop back in. But otherwise, this is going to be 12 matchups. So why don't we just jump straight in? The way it works, cool. Songs are put into random cup. Well, not random cups, but into their respective cups. Mm-hmm. And then we pick one each. And that's how it goes. So we don't know what the matchups are. It's not like Carnival of Souls against Hot in the Shade. It's the songs of both albums going randomly against one another, and we'll see which ones move on. So here we go. First pick. Can't even remember which one I took that out of.
Oh, excuse me.
What the hell?
Is that you, Mark?
That's
The
when
burper.
you look to your side and say, Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I should have
dog,
done
yeah.
Shadow. What
That's
the
a good
hell?
All right, so this is actually good because first song up is I Walk Alone from Carnival of Souls.
Oh boy.
And it's
Oh,
going to
my.
go up against please be Read My Body. Oh, this is tough. Bruce versus Eric. Little Caesar.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's an interesting matchup to start off with. But so, Ken, let's go with you. Little Caesar or I Walk Alone?
Yeah, Little Caesar for me. I think I enjoy it. It's not the greatest song on Hot in the Shade, but I Walk Alone. I really don't like that song. I don't know what it is, but it's missing something. So Little Caesar for me.
All right, Mark, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, as much as I can kind of see what Bruce is trying to do and trying to be all, interesting with the backwards music in the middle section and stuff like that, and they're trying to be all cool and stuff. It's just a terrible song. I don't really like it. But to Little Caesar too. I mean, my friend Ted, the guy I was talking about earlier, he couldn't stand it. He goes, no song should have the word Caesar, and I can't help but thinking of like Caesar salad or Bloody Caesar, the drink. He goes, you should never have Caesar as a title for a song. So he hated that song, but it's definitely a better song. So I'll go with Little Caesar.
Okay, Daniel.
Little Caesar, isn't that some sort of gangster from the 30s or something? Little Caesar. That's what I thought when.
Well,
when,
they're
when I was-
referring to Caesar, like the guy from Roman times,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
referring that he's like a kind of miniature
okay.
version of him.
Yeah. Well, I Walk Alone. I think it's a cool thing that Bruce got the chance to do a lead vocal, especially on that album. I think he had like 9 or 10 he co-wrote 9 or 10 songs on that album. So I think he deserved to do a lead vocal, and I was so surprised that he wanted to do it because he almost never sang even backup vocals live. So I think it's cool that he did it, but as a song, it just don't work. Little Caesar is a bit better, but I was kind of disappointed that they didn't do anything with Eyes of Love that Eric Carr wrote. I think that was a much better song, and it was. I would have liked to see that one on the album. Little Caesar, it's okay. It's not a great song, but it's better than I Walk Alone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's unanimous without me having to vote, but I'd be Little Caesar. Sorry, I have not liked I Walk Alone since day one hearing it. Nothing has changed my opinion on that, and I'm just glad. Well, Bruce got a lead vocal.
Yeah.
On a Kiss album, but his vocals, the BK3, he was, much better as a vocalist on the limited songs and bringing back in, but he's not a lead vocalist by any stretch. He's not even a Joe Perry lead vocalist. So, all right, Little Caesar moves on, and I Walk Alone goes in the can.
Do the talking.
Actually, it looked pretty mixed out there. We actually had some people. Backing both songs. So, all right, this next pick is going to come out of the Hot in the Shade jar. The Street Giveth and the Street Taketh Away, featuring Tommy Thayer on acoustic guitar buried in the mix.
That's great, Cecil.
And that's going up against. I had to get all the way to the end to read the title, so you can take a pick. Hate versus the Street. Gene against himself.
Oh.
This is actually, well, it's not that difficult actually for me. So we'll start with Daniel.
I'll go Hate for this one. Was it Street Giveth, the other one?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's an okay song. It's an okay Gene song. But Hate to me is a really good song. I always liked Hate. I think one of my favorites off of that album. I'm not in love with the drum pattern. You know, I prefer something a bit more straightforward. It's kind of a sister song to Unholy. It almost feels like he was trying to recreate Unholy and almost succeeding. I think it's a great song. Kind of like the solo, the distorted thing he did there, Bruce, and it's a dark song. It's a good first song on the album. I mean, it sets the tone, the darkness, the sinister, the mean Gene is still there after Unholy. So I'll go Hate. I think Hate is probably one or maybe my second favorite on the album. Yeah.
All right, Mark, what about you?
It's funny you said Mean Gene. I can't help think of wrestling. Mean Gene Okerlund.
Yeah, I remember that guy with the mustache. Yeah.
Funny. Street Giveth. It sounds like his attempt of a poor version of a Cinderella song with that whole acoustic beginning there, and you know how it all starts. It reminds me of something off of Long Cold Winter, but it's nowhere near as good as that. And plus, it sounds like they're using a drum machine on this song. I don't think there's a single tom fill in that whole song. I mean, I did a quick review, listen to it, and it was just like there's no toms in this. Like, what the hell's going on? So I think it's one of those drum machine situations. And really, the only reason why I'm talking about this song so much is because Hate is just kills this song, in my opinion. I love the way it starts off. It's so got the nice feedback. It's a nice heavy riff, and it suits Gene's voice perfectly. It's Hate all the way. It totally crushes Street Giveth.
Okay. Two haters. Ken?
I love Hate. Yeah, that one works for me. That's much better than the other song. So of those two Gene songs, yeah, it's more like revenge style, heavy rock, good stuff. Yeah, it's one of the best songs on the album.
So Hate?
So Hate.
Okay, well that makes it unanimous. I am
Easy.
I am the Street Giveth.
Really?
Oh my lord.
Melodic Gene. Melodic Gene.
Well, yeah.
And it's really kind of a different vibe. It is maybe because it is that more late 80s kind of throwaway, vanilla, catchy song. Yeah. And I've just always liked it. From day one, whereas Hate, I did not like from day one. I think it's a decent song. Now that it's grown on me. One thing I do think about Carnival of Souls is that it should have kind of followed the alternative music scene in its song naming convention, and every song should have just been a single word like Hate. So you just have Hate, Rain, Slave, Childhood. There, Jungle, Head,
Seduction.
Away, Seduction, Confess, Mirror, and Alone.
There you have it.
Yeah, and then they totally be following the kind of how everything goes. All right,
so the box set.
The Street Giveth doesn't win. That's okay. At least I gave a vote to Tommy. Next up is King of Hearts.
Oh boy.
If anyone needs any sugar for their coffee, then here it is. King of Hearts up against Seduction. Gene versus Gene. A good Gene attitude versus Paul making who co-wrote King of Hearts? Is that Desmond? Can't remember. All right. Let's start with Mark.
Sorry, I had to just I heard you. I just had to turn my mic back up. Yeah, so again, this is one of those songs where I had to refresh myself on how this song actually goes. But interestingly enough, I think this is going to be my first Hot in the Shade vote because I don't really mind this song. I think the guitar at the top is, kind of cool. That thing he does on the guitar. It's one of those kind of 80s songs that I don't mind. It reminds me of kind of one of my better periods of the '80s memories when I think of that song. And Seduction, I don't know, that to me just seems kind of, I don't know. There's nothing too memorable in that song for me personally. I think it's kind of dull, in my opinion. So I'm going with that. So
All right.
King of Hearts.
Ken, Mark says Gene is dull.
No, I like that. That's such a different song for Gene. It's unique. I like the whole mood of it. The mood of the song is really cool. And then the slow, guitar throughout the song is so good on that. So yeah, I have to go with "Seduction of the Innocent." That's one of my favorite songs on Carnival of Souls.
Okay.
One of my favorite songs.
Mm.
And I think it's really, really good. I enjoy it.
Blue Racer says it's mesmerizing. So there we go.
It is.
Daniel.
Mm-hmm. I think Ken said something really interesting. It's unique. It's certainly a very unusual Kiss song. I think the lyrics fit the overall theme of the song and the feel of the music. You know, the padre looks well fed. He goes like against the church. I always like that. You know, over here we're pretty well. Church is not. You know, church and state should be separated. I won't go political on your ass now, but
You might get banned.
That's a thing that I have a hard time coping with at times when we. Yeah. However, I will leave that. But Seduction of Innocent, I truly love the lyrics, and it's unusual. It has a cool vibe. I agree with Ken. There's something in that song that's pretty cool and unusual. King of Hearts. It's a good Paul song. I think it's a middle of the pack Kiss song, but just for the fact that Seduction of the Innocent is so unusual, and I can't think of any other song in the Kiss catalog that reminds me of that one. I have actually to go against Paul, and I have to go with Gene on this one.
That's a shame.
Wow.
We have a draw.
Got a tie?
No, we don't, because I'm going with Seduction on this for one simple reason. While I find it a bit plodding, I do like its vibe. And my biggest criticism of King of Hearts, and it was Vinnie Poncia, is that it's the same as I'll Fight Hell to Hold You, in that Paul's vocal is just too damn high. And if he down-tuned it slightly, it would be more of a rock song, and it may lose a bit of that pop, which Poncia is responsible for, but it's just way too high vocally. It's a really damn good song, a well-crafted song and all that jazz, but I'm going with Gene for this one. All right, so King of Hearts is out of here. How are we doing? We have 2 Carnival of Souls songs, people.
Okay.
So far. I saw one comment on the FAQ that there's a lot of hate for Cause from us. No.
Not really.
I don't think so.
May not be my favorite album, but
yeah. Let's see how we do on this one.
A lot of good songs.
I Will Be There. So, with its new title of just There.
I Will Be There. Okay.
It's going to go up against. That's a nice song. I Will Be There.
Yeah.
Against Cadillac Dreams. All right. This is a cool matchup, actually. Let's see who we starting. Oh, we start with me. Cadillac Dreams versus I Will Be There. Cadillac Dreams. I'm going Gene on this one simply because it represents the dream of going to a new country, which I share with Gene Simmons as an immigrant. I Will Be There is a beautiful sentiment to a newborn. I also share that with Paul. But I just got to go with the one that's been with me longer. Let's go to a new country. So Cadillac Dreams for me. Ken.
It's got I used to like Cadillac Dreams a lot more than I do now listening to it today. But I always liked I Will Be There. I think it is a beautiful song for like Son. it's just really, really well written and then well sung song, and I enjoy it, every time I hear it. So I Will Be There will be the song for me.
All right, Mark.
Normally I love going with Paul in his stuff because I think he's, more my style of a singer-songwriter. But in Cadillac Dreams is not exactly a fantastic song. Another drum machine thing here again. And the chorus is kind of cheesy in this song too. But I don't know. There's something about I Will Be There. I know that this is going to sound like I'm a hater of babies or something like that. But I don't care if it's written about his young kid. I still think it's a very, C version of Forever. It's not anywhere near as good as Forever, in my opinion, this song. So I'm going to go with Cadillac Dreams. I think it's more, it's more believable to me. I think that, Cadillac Dreams is something that Gene would actually sing about. The music sounds like something that he would write, but I Will Be There is just so sappy too. And just seeing Eric Singer with those congas like in that video is like, give me a break. Anyways.
Yeah, so Crispinus has a nice comment about it. He thinks that it's as close as a sincere song as Gene had written since Brilliant tracking up those horns. So it's nice, there hasn't been a lot of love. I Will Be There is winning in the comment section. So Daniel.
I think I Will Be There is a pretty cool ballad, sort of reminiscent of that old Rolling Stones song Wild Horses. I also like Bruce's solo. I'm surprised Mark didn't pick up on that one. It's kind of in the vein of the Forever solo, just a great solo. Pretty honest lyrics as well for once. I don't care much about the strings, but I would have liked to see it, on MTV Unplugged. I think it could have been a cool song if they have done it on MTV Unplugged. And it certainly is better than the one that Tommy Lee did for his son Brandon on one of the Motley Crue albums.
Oh God, on Generation.
And the thing is that didn't he get knocked out by Brandon live on the internet? I think like a year or two back. So much for that tribute to his son. Cadillac Dreams for me, it's just pure crap. So I'll go with I Will Be There.
You have it.
I Will Be There. And since Lonnie's not here to break the tie, we're going to go to the audience. And I count 1, 2, 3. 3 I Will Be Theirs and 2 Cadillacs. I Will Be There moves on.
Boo.
Give it to the people here.
You people suck.
Great, you people.
Wow. Oh, wow.
I will be there. God.
Mark's about to go insurrection and deny the vote. All right. Here we go. Trethanona Maha. I can't do my Gaelic because I only know so much Maha.
Gaelic.
And Aaron go, brah. There we go. All right. So next one up is I Confess versus
I Confess.
Silver Spoon. This will be easy. I already know where this
I don't think so.
This should go. Ken, let's start with you.
Yeah, Silver Spoon. I don't really like that one. And I Confess is not my favorite one, though it's one of the better ones of Gene on Carnival of Souls. I'm gonna have to go with I Confess. I think that's a better song. Well, I enjoy it more. You're not surprised, of course.
I'm not surprised.
No.
No.
Daniel,
Lean Gene.
Are you going to surprise me?
Lean Mean Gene. I think it's a pretty close one. That intro is kind of cool. But I think the Carnival of Souls track is a bit better. I Confess, once again, thought out theme for the song. Kind of like the lyrics. I think Gene's lyrics on Carnival of Souls are pretty good for once. It's not like Animalized lyrics or something like that, where he just put everything in the mixer and something came out. But so I think towards the end, I don't like I Confess. I remember it kind of slows down and repeats itself towards the end. But as a song, I Confess, I'll take that over the Heart in the Shade song. So I Confess for me.
Well, he had a little bit of help on I Confess by Ken Tamplin, who is a Christian rocker. So he brought some of that.
Have you seen his
Vocal Academy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of cool. He mimics certain artists and does a pretty good job at it.
And he teaches vocal technique and then has some of his students doing some songs in the style of the artist that they're covering. So, all right. So, Mark, I Confess or Silver Spoon?
Believe it or not, this is a bit of a difficult one. Mainly because I think they're both terrible songs. So which one is the least terrible song?
They all suck. I hope they all lose.
They all lose because Silver Spoon is kind of tacky because of the whole gospel women singing along there. It's like, like really, how much more tacky can we get than that? And then
Ace had female vocalists on his album. It was kind of cool.
What's that?
You know, on the solo albums, they also had female vocalists.
I didn't like it either then.
You didn't like that either, okay.
So, but, I Confess, it's Gene trying to be Mr. Grunge with the cellos and all that stuff going on and the brooding singing. It's like, I like Paul's whole opinion of that album. It's like, how can we be taken seriously? We're millionaires and we're talking about things that, poor people would talk about. It's like, come on. So I don't know. I'm going to throw this kind of like heads or tails. I'm going to go with Silver Spoon because I still like Paul better as a singer overall. So I'm going to go with Silver Spoon.
All right. This is a no-brainer for me. I Confess. Mm-hmm. I Confess I just really dig it. I dig its cello vibe because that makes it very unusual. I like the gospel chorus in Silver Spoon, don't get me wrong, but it's one that is just a little bit too much in dog whistle realm vocally. But I
That's
Confess
his era, man. That's everything would be like that.
I know it's his error. And do you mean ERROR as in mistake or era as
no, I mean no, like era, like that's what he's been doing. He did that whole time. I mean, the only thing that I don't like about that record is it just doesn't look at the same reason why I don't like Destroyer is the same reason why I don't like that song. It just doesn't sound like Kiss to me. That's all.
Well, the whole album.
Yeah,
that's the whole point of it. That's actually why it's like a speed bump in the Kiss catalog. Like gives it value.
Every Kiss album sounds different for the most part.
We're not listening to. We're not doing the AC/DC death match.
Okay, but I mean, look, there's a lot of albums that are believable still in their catalog.
I know I do know what you're saying. So, all right, here we go. Rise your heart. No, hide your heart.
Yeah, not that again.
My buddy James will never let me live that one down. It's so funny when he was in Miami for the cruise, brought all these books for me to sign, and like you have to write "Rise Your Heart" in every single one of them. Awesome. All right, and it's going to go up against Childhood's End.
Oh boy.
Ooh. Actually, two very good songs here again. So I don't think this is going to be all cut and dried in terms of which one wins. Who's up next? I'm going to start with you, Mark.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, as much as I said these albums suck, these two songs actually are probably the ones that I like the most off of each of them. To be honest, I really do like "Hide Your Heart." Like I said, it was the song that introduced me to this album. And "Childhood's End," when I first heard it the first time, I actually thought that was actually interesting. That to me was an interesting Gene song. I thought, oh, this is interesting. The only thing that's going to make me not vote for "Childhood's End" is the children thing at the end. Again, it reminds me of Destroyer and the whole thing when he brings in the kids on, God of Thunder and all that stuff. It's like, and also in Great Expectations and shit like that. So I'm going to go.
So you are a child hater because
I am a child
hater. I Will Be There, okay. And now you're going after the kids on Destroyer.
Children should be removed from the plant. No, I'm just
wow.
Oh, Lon is back.
Wow. He is. Oh,
No,
no.
I mean,
Yeah,
the wow
I-
thing, You're
Yeah.
too slow, Julian. Come on now.
Slow. I had 2 beers last night. I'm worse for wear. I've been up since 4 working on the Aerosmith.
Maybe you need a few more.
All right. So childhood's for Mark. All right, Daniel.
No, Hide Your Heart is for me.
Oh, you shit.
Oh my god.
Oh my lord.
I'm
Julian
losing my
math.
mind. Yeah, Julian math. I will make the thing win either by bots or by crooks. All right, Daniel.
So it's Hide Your Heart. It's not Rise to It against Childhood.
Right.
It's Hide Your Heart. It is Hide Your Heart.
Hide Your Heart.
Hide Your Heart. Okay, Hide Your Heart. Childhood Dance is a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool song. One of the few choruses from that album that really sticks. And I do like the Bruce Kulick solo on that one. And Mark is, of course, right. The outro and the child choir is too much, really. But Hide Your Heart is almost a perfect song to me. I really dig that one. I think it's a great one. And I do like the video, even though it's kind of, cheesy with being on a rooftop and playing. It's been done so many times. But I remember seeing that video. It was quite high rotation on MTV over here or wherever I saw it. I remember seeing it quite a few times. A few years after it was released, actually, it stuck sort of in the rotation. So I watched that video and the song grew on me, and I like the street theme. Great vocals from Paul, of course, and a great chorus. But I do remember watching that video from Detroit 1990. I think it was the first night. They did 2 nights in Detroit a few months apart. But I remember seeing Mark is at the barfing again. Without drinking any beer, you
What did you eat?
well, you have to go and get that checked out, Mark. There's something wrong with you. What was my point? Yeah,
Beano.
the live version of Hide Your Heart on both those Detroit concerts, just awesome. So Hide Your Heart is just a great song, and I think it's one of Paul's favorites. So Hide Your Heart for me.
Okay. All right, Ken.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
Are you going to go with Team Gene? Or you're going to go?
I'm on the fence on this.
Well,
No,
Crispiness gave it the perfect description. The Stantham.
Yeah, the first time I heard this was I have a good memory of that, of hearing it when Paul Stanley played it on the solo tour in '89 live. That was the very first time I heard that song. I thought, man, that song's a good song. It's like, I hope that's on the album. So yeah, I like both, but the only thing that bothers me about Hide Your Heart, even though I just don't believe it when Paul Stanley is telling a story like that. I just don't believe Tito and all that stuff. Come on now. But having said that,
he has experience with car wash guys.
Yeah.
There you go. That's true. I'll have to go with Hide Your Heart. Yeah, it's a little bit better than the other one. I do like the Gene song though, but Hide Your Heart works.
Yeah, it's catchy as hell. Yeah. Stantham. I'm going to borrow that. I remember just being really happy in England that it came as a red vinyl 7-inch single. So because it was a cool 7-inch single. But Childhood's End is really a good song, but it isn't believable in terms of its story. It's like what connection to any of that shit does Gene have?
Exactly.
And, so where Paul doesn't have any connection with Tito and the gangs of LA.
Think of the Jackson 5 when I hear Tito. Jackson 5.
Well, all right. So Childhood's End gets the boot. And we had some folks in the chat mentioning, obviously, it was covered by Ace. It was covered by Robin Beck, Molly Hatchet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bonnie Raitt? You said that? Yeah.
No, not Bonnie Raitt.
She didn't
do it. Bonnie
yes,
Tyler.
Oh, Bonnie Tyler. Sorry, the other Bonnie.
The other Bonnie. Yeah.
All
right, here we go. Where's that comment? Where is it? I'm going up the list to find this because you bring this on us, Tommy. We get to blame Tommy. Read my
Best
body.
thing ever.
Oh my
Tommy,
God.
Elvis Tommy. Yeah.
I think we'll be happy that this one doesn't get a free pass into the next round because of the imbalance between 12
Yes.
songs versus 15. So it's not taking up any oxygen later. All right, so Hide Your Heart one. And this is going to be Read My Body versus... Oh, fucking hell, Jungle. All right, let's do that. We can probably do this one pretty quickly. Daniel?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, this is going to be Jungle. But I do have to mention that I kind of like the riff on what's the name? What's the name of that?
Read My
song?
Body.
Read My Body. I did a little bow bow. Even though it's a Def Leppard rip off, maybe I do like that riff. I don't think it's the worst song ever that some of the other guys might think. I think it's okay. But against the other one, it doesn't stand a chance. So I go with a Carnival of Souls song.
All right, Ken?
Yeah. Jungle, obviously. Great song. That's probably my favorite Paul Stanley song on Carnival of Souls.
Yeah, it's my favorite
for
Deep
sure.
Purple song on Carnival of Souls. Mark?
What?
Well, I mean,
Purple.
both of these songs have problems, but I mean, the one I didn't realize that Tito Puente was a guest musician on "Read My Body" at the beginning of all that percussion. So Latin, and you know, I just found that a little off-putting at first when I heard all that cowbelling and stuff like that. You know, but Jungle also, you know, while it is a good song, it's just way too long at the end. It drags on and on and on and on and on at the end. It's like they could have easily
Wait a minute. Hold
cut
it.
2 minutes
You
off of that
like
song.
long songs. You said that like a week or two
I do,
ago.
but they have to have
Come
something
on
in
now.
them. I mean, yeah, but it's the
Oh,
same
come
shit
on.
over and over again. At least with the long
Nah.
songs that I like,
Listen.
there's like changes and there's different things going on, and you know, this is the same thing over and over. So, as much as I'd love to vote for "Read My Body" just to be controversial, I can't do it with any sort of, you know, honesty. So I'm going to go with Jungle.
Okay, Ken, did I get you yet? I can't remember.
Jungle.
Jungle.
Yeah, he said Jungle right away.
All right, so it's already unanimous.
Welcome to the jungle.
But
Yes, too
Read
many
My-
Tito's.
Read My Body
Yeah,
is the
enough
Carlton
Tito's.
dance of the Kiss catalog. It's
Too many
come on.
Tito's. Tito's.
All right, so Jungle goes through, and when I said Deep Purple, "You Fool No One" has a very similar bass riff to it.
Someone's getting a phone call.
Lonnie. Lonnie's calling.
Lonnie's using
He's
it.
gonna do it over the phone.
Worst.
It's my phone, and it's always scammers. So
Okay.
Oh, darn
there's no
scammers.
technology allowed in here to block it. All right, "Prisoner of Love," another cool song in my view. It's going to go up against another short title, "In the Mirror." Sorry,
That's
there's
my
a
favorite.
Tarzan moment for anyone old enough to remember. All right. Well, let's start with you, Daniel.
Yeah, I just have to say that "In the Mirror" is my favorite off of Carnival of Souls. I like the way he sings it. You know, often I tend to like faster songs, like "King of the Mountain," "I've Had Enough," and so on. And this is a fast song, cool riff. I like the drums, simple rocker. It kind of reminded me of, you know, "Lover All I Can" from Dressed to Kill. The drummer gets some spots during the song, and Eric Singer gets to show off his skills. I like that. I like the good ending, and the main riff is pretty similar to "I Love Her All I Can." So, and I do like how Eric Singer is playing this one. It kind of reminds me of Eric Carr to a certain extent, because if you listen to like "Hate," I don't like what he's playing on that one. He's trying to be very, you know, trying to come up with things and being odd and playing in different ways. On this one, he's going straight rocker and keeping it simple. And "Take a Look in the Mirror" is, to me, you know, pretty good rock, even though the lyrics are kind of not my favorite. But as a song, if you listen to the instruments, the vocals, this is just a great song. I wish they would have played it live, but unfortunately that will never happen. But I go with Take a Look in the Mirror.
All right, Ken.
In the Mirror versus, what was the other one? I can't remember.
Prisoner of Love.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna go with Prisoner of Love because I really don't like In the Mirror. I just don't.
You have to go and listen to it again.
Though I don't think the other song is that great either. So it's a toss up. So I'm gonna give Gene the benefit.
Of course.
Okay, we got a battle then, Mark.
Oh my.
Well, once again, and for Michael there, I am not hungry, so and I feel quite myself today. So it's just that these records suck, so I can't be too happy about it. So
Kiss fan.
This Prisoner of Love, while it's kind of upbeat and stuff like that, it kind of has this kind of like kind of feel to it, which I was kind of like,
It's a shuffle.
It's too happy. I mean, come on. I don't really dig it. I mean, for Gene, I am always imagining something a little bit more menacing, and that's far from it. And and then the In the Mirror, it's decent, but again, it's just I think Paul could have did a better job on the chorus. Take a look in the mirror. It's just this is Paul Stanley. I mean, he could have thought of something much better than that, I thought, before. So you know what? To show tribute to my good buddy Daniel, I'm gonna go with In the Mirror.
Okay? Thank you.
Because me and him are usually mano a mano on these things. So I'm gonna go with In the Mirror in this one. I like them both equally, which is to say not much. So I'm gonna go with Daniel this time.
This is a really tough matchup for me because I like both songs a lot. I really like Prisoner of Love. But Mirror takes it because that riff is really cool. And I think it's one of the examples where Paul's writing in this vein and it's much more convincing. And musically, the song's just really cool. I mean, so...
I know it was Michael. I know.
This episode is sponsored by Snickers. So In the Mirror is going through and Prisoner of Love is not.
Thank you.
Carnival of Souls is doing... then again, it is up against Hog on the Shade.
That's surprising. Really?
Not really. But here we go. All right, next matchup is going to be Boomerang.
Oh boy.
You can discard that real quickly.
Against It Never Goes Away. All right, this is
man. I don't know now.
Personally, I find this one to be a bottom of the barrel knife fight. Definitely. So
oh my gosh.
Mark, let's start with you.
Isn't this a great example of what I was just saying a minute ago, how terrible things are on these records? This is a great example of it right here. Boomerang is absolute crud, bottom of the barrel crap. The best thing about this song is that it's at the very end of the album and I never really get to it ever. So I never need to listen to it very much. And It Never Goes Away.
Never seems to stop.
I can't stand the way that he sings that song. It never goes away. Like, oh, come on, Paul. Like, you guys are rich. You have a good life. You sleep with like 10 women a night. Give me a break, man. What are you all depressed about?
We all?
Like, fuck, man. Why are they so upset about shit? Like, come on. So again, this is going to be a difficult sort of pick for me because they both have their things that are terrible about it.
All right, say something nice about each one.
That's a challenge. That's a challenge.
I don't know. I guess Boomerang has double kick, which is something that we don't have very much of on Hot of the Shade. So there you go. And Never Goes Away has at least a sort of interesting guitar tone in there with that effect on it. So that's kind of okay, I guess. So I don't know. But in good conscience, I just can't pick Boomerang as much as the other one sucks too. So, yeah, it never goes away. I just have to pick that.
All right, Ken.
I'm gonna go with Boomerang. Because it never goes away. It's probably second to least favorite on that. I say favorite, but I wish that song would go away because I do not like that song. So Boomerang for me, Julian.
Okay.
I like the effort at least.
Daniel.
I think it's kind of impressive how you can take the most classic Black Sabbath riff, rip it off, and then fail so miserably.
Make it work.
I think it's just
embarrassing.
Awesome that they managed to do that with that song. but on the other hand, Boomerang, that's not a good song either. I think both these songs would end up last on the albums for me. So it's really a toss-up. So I think I'll go with the Paul Stanley song just because I think I like that album better than Hard in the Shade. So I'll go with Never. But they're both terrible.
Okay, we've got two nevers, and I'm Boomerang because it's bad. It's less bad than the turgid morass of depression, which is it never goes away, and it's just. It is taking a Black Sabbath, well, not even a Black Sabbath riff, because that's an insult to Black Sabbath riffs. Even some of their bad songs.
Crispin has made a good point.
They pick neither. Just throw them both in the trash.
Yes. Can we do that? Can we just throw them both in the trash, right? Julian? Can we just?
Sadly, no, that's not how this works, but we've got a tie, so let's go to the board, and those who've already voted is Boomerang, 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 Boomerang,
yeah,
Blue Pill Blues. Boomerang is going to go forward. So,
oh my lord.
Kiss fans don't want a bunch of downer songs.
What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, exactly. That is it. This is a party band that doesn't party. It's hilarious.
Well, Lon has officially given up, I think.
Well, technical issues.
Yep.
All right. In my head.
In my head.
Termites. In my head. Dreams of Contracts is going to go up again. In my head versus Forever.
Well,
okay.
There you have it.
Daniel?
I think, In My Head is an interesting song, but somehow it really doesn't work for me. I think the bass and the drums are so monotonous. I mean, it starts off and you think this is going to be something real cool, but then nothing happens. And I do like the dark lyrics. It sounds like some nutcase describing his inner feelings. And it fits the theme of the record, but nothing really happens, and I can't get a hold of the drum pattern. It just seems I just get frustrated listening to that. So and of course, Forever. I mean, Forever has been played on how many weddings do you think? Thousands, maybe, at least hundreds. And that tells you something. It's a great song if you like that sappy stuff, And when it comes to ballads, I mean, you can't really touch Forever in the Kiss catalog. Of course, it's a bit syrupy, but aren't most ballads like that?
Always writing one for every album.
Yeah, that's true. And I know my girlfriend, if I talk about Kiss, and I do talk about Kiss, a bit too much. She says my favorite song is Forever, of course. It's kind of a girly song, if you can say that. 2023, kind of girly song, but it's a good song. And of course, Bruce Kulick's solo is over the top. So I'll go Forever.
Okay, nice. And I agree with crispiness. It was definitely, if they'd done an unplugged too,
that was a miss.
Yeah, that was a real miss.
Well,
Yeah.
Sure Know Something. Every Time I Look at You, that's kind of a good ballad quota on there. If they'd done a second one, then they could add 1,000,000 to 1 and forever. All right, Mark.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I agree with Daniel about the fact that In My Head starts off with that kind of interesting introduction to the song. It's kind of like, oh, it's good. And then, but as soon as they kicks into that, it's like, God, it's like, really, guys? Like, that part sucked, okay? And the singing is terrible. It's all that dragged out singing in there. It's like, come on, man. And really, Forever has got to be, and I'm gonna say this. I don't care what any of the Kiss people think. Forever is the best ballad that Kiss has ever done. Better than Beth, better than Every Time I Look at You, better than any of those songs. It is the quintessential Kiss ballad. So it has to be Forever. And the fact that Michael Bolton's involved with it, that's fantastic, because that goes to show you that he isn't just some sappy singer. He knows how to write a good song.
You do wonder how much influence he had on that song.
A lot, because they gave him 50-50 credit, it looks like. So
Yeah. All right. So Forever. Ken.
Yeah, it's going to be Forever for me too.
Thank
Just
God.
a real good song. Really good.
Yeah, I'm Forever as well, because it's a really good song. It stands up well, and In My Head is shit.
it's better than Beth, people. You've heard it here
Yeah.
first.
In My Head is fucking atrocious. It's like one of the worst Kiss songs. Period.
It's hard to listen to sometimes. Yeah, it is.
Hard to listen to any time for me. My opinion's never changed on that.
Yes, better than Sure Knows Something. Much better.
All right. Love's a slap in the face.
Oh boy.
Love is a belch on a podcast.
Yes. Might have another one coming up soon.
Oh
Is that
gosh.
all right? Master and Slave.
Oh god.
Oh
well.
I'm gonna
Well.
go first on this one, and Master and Slave by a mile. Great, catchy song on that album. One of the up-tempo ones. Good chorus. I've always loved that song, so it's like no brainer. Master. Mark.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
He's doing his homework live while we're doing this show.
Well, because like I said before,
what's that song sound like? I don't remember. Love's a slap in the face.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing. The songs on Hot in the Shade are so unmemorable. It's like, well, how does that go again? I have to quickly give myself like 10 seconds. Oh yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah. Yeah. Master and Slave. I mean, as much as it's not a believable song, this whole album isn't believable. It is catchy. It is upbeat. Paul singing it makes it done much better, in my opinion. And once again, this other trudged song here, Love is a Slap in the Face, another drum machine thing. It's an insult to Eric Carr when they do that, in my opinion. I mean, they have a drummer who could do that beat easily blindfolded with one arm. Why would you use a fucking drum machine? Come on, guys. It just sounded like shit. Okay, so Master and Slave.
All right, Daniel.
I think it's kind of interesting that Gene always puts down "I Was Made for Loving You." The do 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 do. That seems to be his thing nowadays. Every interview he does that. And then what you have in "Love Is Like a Slap in Your Face" that he wrote. Na 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 na. It's even worse. And that song is vanilla, middle of the road, not the worst, but it certainly isn't good. While Jungle, was it Jungle? Yeah,
No,
it was Jungle.
Master and Slave.
Master and Slave. I kind of, Jungle and Master and Slave, both great Paul songs. And Master and Slave is just a great Paul song, even though, as a lot of the other songs on Carnival of Souls, they could have edited a bit towards the end. And I know the one that they released for radio was a lot shorter than the one on the album, and I think that was the better version. But I'll go with the Carnival of Souls song on this one easily.
Ken, your opinion doesn't matter, so you can defend Gene all you want on this.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. Well,
If you can.
Love's like a slap in the face. I'll go with Love's like a slap in the face.
Team Gene to the end.
I like it better.
Wow.
If I'm gonna go pick two songs to listen to, I'd rather listen to that than the Master and Slave.
Yeah, Hellface. Yeah, it is all these matchups are depressing because every single one of them involves a Carnival of Souls song or a Hot in the Shade song. So there's just no way around that today, other than to say that this is the last matchup, and then we'll see which three songs are gonna get into the leftover scrap, the scrap. All right, so we know this one's Rain because I have to unwind it all the way to get to it, and I am gonna.
Real shit.
Real good.
But Julian, isn't it true that 3 songs from Hot in the Shade will make it onto the next round?
Yeah.
No, because that's just the scrappy round. So it's not the next round.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not the next round. It's just
Oh,
like
the
that
scrap
was
round.
extras. Yeah.
Oh, thank the Lord.
Yeah, all those songs have to go up against one another, and
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You Love Me to Hate You. So Joan Jett versus Seattle. All right, Mark, let's go with you.
What was the other
What was
song?
the other one?
Rain.
Rain. Okay.
Oh, Rain. Oh my God.
Yeah. You know, I'm not going to go into a long soliloquy about these songs again because they suck. So, Rain. I'm going to pick Rain because the Love Me to Hate You is terrible too. So, and I just think Rain is a better song.
Okay, so Rain. Ken.
I do not like either of these two songs. Oh man.
We talked about depressing earlier, and now it's going to rain down on me. Rain down on me.
I'm gonna say You Love Me to Hate You, even though that one grates on me, but I like it better than Rain.
It's less grating.
It is less grating.
All right, Daniel.
This is a hard one, but I think Rain is a bit. I would have liked them to do a higher BPM. You know, it's too slow. Feels like it goes on forever. There's a good guitar riff somewhere in there, but it's a bit too slow. I like the bridge, but I have to go with the Carnival of Soul songs anyway because the other one is even worse, and it sounds so crappy. Rain at least sounds good, kind of good, but I would have liked them to have a higher BPM. I think it could have been a better song.
So Rain?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Rain. Yeah,
Really?
I'll go Rain. Really?
Not for me.
Not for me. Not for me either. I'm with Ken here. And I liked, You Love Me to Hate You. I Hate Myself for Loving You by Joan Jett because I was really enjoying both of her albums from the late 80s, the hit list. And the one that this was off, and she came to Singapore, so she was the only rock concert I got to see by Western Act when I was living out there. Rain, just, again, turgid, goes on and on. And, it's not even something, it's like a therapy session where you're just saying that all the world's against me. The rain keeps coming down on me. And I'm like, what did we say? Kiss is a party band. Kiss is uplifting, not the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I mean, I Hate You isn't too positive either, but
no,
I think I'm just so tired of the Desmond Child titles. When he uses juxtapositioning. Is it called that when you put love, hate?
Yeah,
he uses the different. I think it's so done by this point in time, but it still does it. You love me to hate you. Oh, come on, guy! Can't you come up with something else?
So we have a tie again. So let's go to the board and the comments. Thank you, everyone, for your comments today. That makes these live shows very pleasurable to have the interaction and also your participation, especially when you're breaking ties because of Lonnie's technical issues today. So Rain, love, rain, love goes
Looks like love.
Love. We all like love more than rain. That's how it should be in this world. More love, less rain. So
Can't believe
there
these
we go.
people.
Yeah, let's see which 3 songs are left for those of us who can't keep track of this shit in our heads.
Well, the one is a no-brainer. Will go through no matter what. I think.
Yeah, so
Oh, really?
somewhere between heaven and hell
Not
gets a
that
free
one.
pass into the scrap.
That's a pretty good one.
And God, the trade gets to go into the scrap heap.
That's all right. That one should.
Oh, that's a good one.
And
this one for sure should go through.
you never know.
Oh,
Rise your heart.
Rise to
it.
That one
Okay.
should have.
all right.
So that's
Worst
those
opener
3
ever.
Those 3 have gone into the white cup.
Yeah,
I hope.
greatest.
I'll have to check all that before we go into the bonus rounds. So the winning songs today going through in these 12 matchups of random songs from either album against one another. Little Caesar punches above his weight and moves on. Hates on everyone and moves on. Seduction of the Innocent moves on. And someone wants to keep track of how many Carnival of Souls songs and how many hit songs. I Will Be There goes through. And that one went to the tie break. I Confess goes through. Hide Your Heart goes through. Jungle, In the Mirror. Boom. Boomerang. No. What is it? Yeah, Boomerang.
Boomerang?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic Boomerang. Yeah. Forever goes through. Master and Slave, and You Love Me to Hate You. That was some really interesting matchups. Again, it all kind of really sucked because these matchups are depressing of these 2 albums. It's kind of funny that, we picked these albums randomly and this was the bottom of the barrel round, literally. And there's no engineering that goes into making this happen. So let us know what you think about these matchups if you're watching after the fact. Again, thank you to everyone who has participated in this. The next death match is going to be the scrap. The songs in the scrap heap go up against one another. Some of the other songs that are in that round are The Devil Is Me, All for the Love of Rock and Roll, Parasite, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, Almost Human, When Lightning Strikes, Never Enough, Dark Light, When Your Walls Come Down, In Your Face. And then we'll have to also, actually, I think the next one is going to be the EPs. So Killers, Side 4 of Alive, the new songs on Smashes, excluding Beth, of course, and then the additional songs that were released in the intervening years, like you remember Rock and Roll Radio and Samurai Song, Venus and Mars.
Are we omitting the solo albums then?
Yeah, we're going to save that for September.
That's going to be its own thing.
Yeah, solo albums, even with the Kiss logos, I don't want to commingle Radioactive going up against, Jungle. That just stretches the silliness a little bit too far.
Okay, cool.
So let me last comment. Hey Thomas, thanks for joining us, and thank you again to everyone who's to join us today. But for now, from Ken, Lonnie, we missed you. We needed you, or we used the board for the tie or the comments for the tie breaks. Ken, Mark, myself, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.